Hailie Deegan will leave NASCAR in 2025 and join Indy NXT and go to the IndyCar and Open World in 2025. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to our video. As I just said anyway, some pretty major breaking news from earlier today, as it was announced that Hailie Deegan will not be returning to NASCAR in 2025. It was confirmed today by Indy NXT by Firestone that Hailie Deegan is set to make her Indy NXT debut with HMD Motorsports, piloting the number 38 in 2025. Hailie Deegan, of course, lost a ride in the middle portion of 2024 at basically around the Chicago Street Course weekend. She had been struggling a lot this year with AM Racing, was not running very well, and she lost her ride in the middle way over the year. Now, there was a lot of talk and speculation around this around the Iowa weekend for IndyCar, which wasn't a great weekend for IndyCar, but from what people like David Land and I think Bray Carver have reported on their channels, apparently Hailie Deegan was spotted in the IndyCar paddock talking to people from the Andretti stable. And that's where all these rumors started. Then I think about a week or so ago, and we talked about this on the channel, it was announced that Hailie Deegan will be racing in Circuit Americas, I believe in Formula 4 or Formula 2000 with a teammate, and she'll be getting an opportunity in that series at Circuit of the Americas. She also has been competing, of course, in Nitro Cross, where she raced, and I think in the UTVs, where I think she finished in 4th. Now, earlier today, an article had gotten published as she was maybe looking to get back to NASCAR. I think Racer had kind of talked about this. And there was talk and conversation about her maybe coming back to NASCAR in 2025 originally with the Haas factory team, but those reports basically became unfounded, untrue, because eventually they chose Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed to be the drivers for Haas factory, which, let's be real and honest, they're two better drivers than Hailie Deegan. Sheldon Creed, of course, has had the most runner-up finishes in NASCAR Xfinity Series history, but he had a chance to win the championship, unfortunately got eliminated, and Sam Mayer's had 3 wins so far this year and 7 career NASCAR Xfinity Series victories. 2 more deserving choices for the seat. And like I said, there have been talks about her coming back next year, but obviously things have changed. Look, this is going to be a very interesting transition for her. What are my realistic expectations of Hailie Deegan in 2025? To be honest with you guys, I'm not expecting much from Hailie Deegan. I think she unfortunately ends up struggling. I want her to succeed. I want her to do very, very well in Indy NXT because her doing well is going to be good for the sport. Look how many people have already looked at this story. This is a big name. And people are going to say, well, why is she going over to Indy NXT? Well, to bring eyes in. Indy NXT is going to be on Fox next year in FS1. I think some of those races even on main Fox, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be able to attract those eyes and people are going to tune in. And yes, some will say she's not ready. And I don't disagree with you on that. But I also think when you look at the sponsorship she brings, if Monster Energy, I think, following her over there, if I'm not mistaken, it's also a little bit of a no-brainer for her to go over there. Unfortunately, though, I don't think she's going to run well. I think she's going to make a lot of mistakes next year and not run well. She has basically no open wheel experience. Yes, of course, she's done some races in dirt, doing some races at Millbridge, which will help a little bit, but I don't think that experience in Millbridge is really going to help her. We saw Jimmie Johnson try to transition fully to IndyCar for a few years, and unfortunately, Jimmie Johnson did not do well in IndyCar except at the ovals. I think Hailie Deegan might have a couple good runs at points, but I think for the most part, she is going to struggle. And Indy NXT is going to be super competitive in 2025, though some of the people from Indy NXT, like Louis Foster, of course, are moving up. Does this mean that she is completely done with NASCAR altogether? I unfortunately think, at least for now, at least on the full-time side with this announcement, she is going to be done with NASCAR. And unfortunately, her NASCAR career, if this truly is the end for her in NASCAR, let's be real and honest, she was not that great in NASCAR. She had a couple bright spots, had a couple good runs. We go back to that Xfinity race she ran in 2022 when she drove for that organization, SS Greenlight. She drove the 07 car and honestly had a really solid run finishing in 13th. And she did have a solid run in Vegas earlier this year with AM Racing, but for the most part, she just struggled in NASCAR. She had a couple good runs in trucks, but didn't run that great. But there was a lot of hype around her, and it just never really worked out. And I really thought racing in Xfinity this year, it was going to be a no-brainer for her. But unfortunately, like I said, it just never worked out for her. And it just didn't do great. Now, to be fair, the organization she drove for has really struggled for the most part this year. Yes, Joey Logano's gotten a couple top 10s, but for the most part, this organization's had a lot of issues. Even Joe Williams, who was a former crew chief for that team, was very critical. And they've had a lot of driver changes, and most of the drivers at that team haven't done well. Now, they're going to have Harrison Burton next year in the organization, and rumors are, I think NASCAR Rumor Nostalgia brought up that Lost Allen could also be potentially going there in a second car next year. That's unconfirmed at this point. But I think that they're going to be better with Harrison Burton. Hopefully they can be a little more consistent than they have been. But I could see her coming back and maybe doing a one-off in the future, perhaps. Maybe like doing a couple races from time to time. Like I said, I know Racer brought up this as a possibility. I hope she can be successful. That's all I'm looking for at this point, is she can run and be successful. Because she's still young, right? She's only 23 years old and has plenty of time to really build a racing career. And I think for a lot of us fans that want to see her succeed, I want to see her do good. But like I said a few minutes ago, I'm just not expecting much from Hailie Deegan, unfortunately. And it's a shame, too, because there was so much hype from a lot of us. We were really hoping that she could be successful. But unfortunately, it just never really came to fruition on the NASCAR side of things, and I think it's going to be even worse in IndyCar. She had a couple, like I said, good bright spots in NASCAR, but unfortunately, I'm not expecting that same thing in IndyCar, or in the NXT for that matter. And then I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if a sponsor wants to pick her up and she goes fully IndyCar. Wouldn't surprise or shock me if someone tries to get her in the Indy 500. That would not surprise me at this point. But I don't think Hailie Deegan's going to do that great. She was a worse full-time rookie in Xfinity. She was worse than Leland Honeyman. She was worse than Jesse Love. She did worse than Shane Van Gisbergen, and she just wasn't great on the NASCAR side of things, and I don't think it's going to be good in any NXT. I hope she can prove me wrong and do good, and I want to see her do good, but I think most people are expecting, right, that she is not going to run well, and she's probably, unfortunately, going to end up struggling. So, again, I hope she can do really well in 2025 and prove me wrong and win some races, and if she can do that, hey, that's more power to her, and that's going to be really good for IndyCar because a lot of people are going to tune in, and they're going to be intrigued to watch because if you didn't have a reason to watch any NXT, I think a lot of fans are going to have a reason now, and I think you're going to see the ratings go up as well for that. And if she gets more success, it will grow IndyCar a lot better, which I think is good for IndyCar, and having promotion, having someone in that area working with you that can bring all that stuff in, hey, more power to you. But there's been very few drivers who've gone from stock cars and done some IndyCar races have done great. The only exceptions are Kurt Busch and Kyle Larson. And there was rumors about Kyle Busch transitioning at one point as well. I just, again, don't think Hailie's going to do well in IndyCar, unfortunately. It is a shame to see her NASCAR career is over. I think most of the people will disagree with me on that. But I hope that she can do well on the IndyCar side of things and run well. But unfortunately, like I said, I'm not expecting much. I think she sadly ends up not running as well in 2025. I don't know if she'll ever come back to NASCAR. We'll see what she ends up doing going forward into the not-so-distant future. So, that is going to be it for today's episode. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me to Facebook and Instagram and support on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. You think Hailie Deegan is going to run well in any NXT, or do you think, like me, that she is going to end up struggling? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we'll have a NASCAR news and motorsports news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. We got to talk about Spygate with RCR, talk about SVG a little bit, some other drivers like Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, or something like that, maybe Bubba Wallace as well. We've also got Xfinity race picks coming out this week. We also got on Thursday Cup Series race picks for the South Point 400 and the paint scheme video dropping as well. I've got a lot of great NASCAR content dropping this weekend. We're beginning the round of 12. I will be having my predictions for the Championship 4 in the coming weeks, and you also will see another silly season update potentially on Saturday before cars do eventually get on the racetrack. You might see that this weekend as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.